What happens when you give your all to someone only to realize they never saw your worth? Let that sink in. You showed up with loyalty, patience, and effort, thinking that if you just loved harder, if you just proved yourself, they would finally see it. But they didn't. They saw you as an option, not a priority. They assumed you'd always be there, always waiting, always available whenever it suited them. And the worst part? You allowed it. You accepted the crumbs they tossed your way, convincing yourself that if you just held on a little longer, things would change. But deep down, you already knew the truth. They never valued you. They never feared losing you. You were replaceable in their mind, someone they could keep in the background while they explored other options. But that ends today. Today, you stop living like you're an option. Today, you take back your power. And no, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about proving anything to them. This is about becoming someone who no longer needs their validation. Someone who understands the greatest power of all, emotional control. They assumed you would always be there, a backup plan, a safety net. They thought they could string you along while chasing something they thought was better. But here's where they made their biggest mistake. They underestimated you. They assumed you needed them more than they needed you. But they were wrong, because the moment you truly detach, the moment you walk away with zero hesitation, zero bitterness, zero emotion, is the moment everything shifts. Not just for them, but for you. You become someone they never expected, someone beyond their reach, someone who no longer reacts, no longer waits, no longer cares. And that right there is the turning point. They treated you like an option, but now they'll know what it feels like to be left behind. Not because you're playing games, not because you want to hurt them, but because you've finally realized something priceless. Your time, your energy, your attention are valuable. They are not gifts to be wasted on someone who never appreciated them. And here's the irony. Your absence will hit them harder than your presence ever did. The silence will haunt them. The indifference will tear at them. They'll question everything. They'll wonder if they made a mistake. They'll regret. But by the time they realize it, it won't matter, because by then you will have moved on. By then you will be untouchable, and that, right there, is the final lesson. Now, here's where the real magic happens. Are you ready? Ask yourself this. What if you stopped chasing people who don't see your worth and started chasing the life you truly deserve? That's the key. The moment you choose yourself, the moment you step into your true power, everything changes. So if you're ready to step up, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss a life-changing video. And to lock this mindset in, drop a comment below. I am valuable. Let the world know. Because you are. It as the illusion shatters. They thought they had all the time in the world. They believed, no matter what they did, you would always be there, waiting, hoping, willing to accept whatever crumbs of attention they decided to toss your way. Why? Because you made yourself too available. Because you acted as if they were the only one with options, while you were just lucky to be in their orbit. But here's the truth. People don't value what is always there. They don't chase what they believe they already own. The human mind is wired to take abundance for granted. The things that come easy, that require no effort, no struggle, those things are seen as less valuable. They had options, plenty of them, and because you were always present, you became just another one, not a priority, not a necessity, just an option on a shelf, waiting to be picked when it was convenient for them. They were never afraid of losing you, because you gave them no reason to be. And that was your mistake. But now the illusion is breaking. The game has changed. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer the one hoping for their attention, the one clinging to the idea that if you just hold on a little longer, they'll finally see your worth. That version of you is gone. Now, you are the one who removes yourself from the equation entirely. And when you do that, something powerful happens. Scarcity. The moment something is no longer easily available, people begin to crave it. That's human nature. When you were always there, always responding, always making yourself accessible, they didn't have to think twice. But when you're gone, when you stop reaching out, stop answering, stop showing up like a guaranteed safety net, that's when the void begins to sink in. And they will feel it. They will question themselves. They will wonder if they made a mistake. They will replay memories in their mind, searching for the moment they lost you, wondering if they could have done something differently. But by the time that thought crosses their mind, it will be too late. Because you won't be waiting. You won't be sitting there hoping they'll realize what they had. You won't be available to pick up where things left off. You will be miles ahead, focused on your growth, your discipline, your evolution. It's like a candle in a dark room. When the flame is there, no one notices how much it lights the space. But the second it's blown out, the darkness feels suffocating. That's what happens when you remove yourself. They made their choice, and now they will have to live with it, too. The power of letting go. The moment you stop caring, everything shifts. When you no longer react, no longer chase, no longer seek approval, the entire power dynamic flips. Why? Because control has never belonged to the one who wants more. It has always belonged to the one who needs less. They once held power over you, not because they were special, not because they were irreplaceable, but because you gave them that power. You tied your happiness to their attention. You let their choices define your worth. And as long as you did that, they knew they could do whatever they wanted, because you would still be there, waiting. But that version of you is gone now. The moment you detach, you become something they never expected, unpredictable. And unpredictability is what sparks curiosity. It's what creates attraction. It's what fuels regret. Emotional detachment isn't about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about mastering yourself to the point where no rejection, no situation, no person has the power to break your peace. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, completely unshaken. The winds rage, the rain falls, but you remain still, unmoved. That's the kind of control we're talking about, the kind of presence that demands respect without saying a word. And here's where it gets interesting. When you reach this level of self-control, they start to notice. The energy they once dismissed, it's no longer directed at them. The attention they took for granted, gone. The effort they barely acknowledged, now spent on something far greater, yourself. And that silence is louder than any words you could ever say. At first, they won't react. They'll convince themselves you'll come back, that you'll break first. But then, time passes, and doubt creeps in. Why haven't you called? Why haven't you reached out? Why haven't you begged for another chance? That uncertainty, it's a weight heavier than regret. Because for the first time, they're forced to ask themselves a question they never thought they'd have to. Did I lose them for good? And here's the best part. None of this is about them. This is about you, about stepping into your power, about becoming the kind of person who doesn't beg, who doesn't chase, who doesn't need. The moment you realize your worth has never been tied to their validation, you become untouchable. And that is true strength. You could keep hoping they'll realize your worth. Keep waiting for the moment they finally see what they lost. Or you could become the kind of person who doesn't need them to. The kind of person who walks away, head high, knowing their value was never dependent on someone else's recognition. Because respect is far more powerful than attraction. And once you command respect, everything changes. 3. When silence becomes deafening. They expect a reaction. They expect anger, frustration, desperate texts, or long emotional explanations. Because that's what most people do. They try to talk their way back in, demand closure, or beg to be heard. But a person who understands their worth? They do something entirely different. They go silent. No arguments, no explanations, no last words, just complete and total silence. And that silence, that is the loudest statement you will ever make. Silence is powerful because it creates uncertainty. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop trying to make them understand, they are left with a void. A void where your energy, your presence, and your validation used to be. And that void, it will haunt them. They will start to question themselves. They will wonder if they made the right decision. They will expect you to crack, to reach out, to remind them that they still have control. But when you don't, when you vanish without a trace, that's when something new happens. Powerlessness. Most people don't expect silence. They are used to attention, even from those they reject. They assume they have an open invitation to return whenever they feel like it. But when you remove yourself completely, you become something they can't quite grasp, an enigma, and the mind is naturally drawn to unanswered questions. Why haven't they called? Why aren't they trying to fix this? Have they moved on? Those thoughts will eat away at them, because deep down, they believed they had you figured out. They thought you would always be there, always waiting, always hoping for another chance. But now they have to face a truth they never prepared for. They lost you. And that's when regret starts creeping in. When they scroll through their phone and realize there are no missed calls. When they check for a message that never came. When they look at your life and see you moving forward without them. That silence forces them to question everything, because when you were there, they took you for granted. But now that you're gone, they finally understand what they had. And that realization is more powerful than any words you could ever say. Most people beg for closure. They chase after explanations that don't matter. But a person with true self-respect, they create closure through absence. No texts, no calls, no social media posts about how the other person will regret it. Just complete and unshakable indifference. Because nothing is more unsettling than someone who simply doesn't care anymore. 4. Rise so high, they can't reach you. Now that they're gone, you have two choices. You can sit in the same place, replaying every moment, questioning what went wrong, drowning in self-pity. Or you can use this as fuel. You can take all that pain, all that disappointment, and forge yourself into something completely new. Because the best response isn't revenge, it's reinvention. Most people get stuck in the past. They keep looking back, waiting for a message, hoping for closure, obsessing over what the other person is doing. But a person who understands their value, they know one thing for sure: the past is dead. It no longer exists. The only thing that matters is what you build from here. This is the moment where you separate yourself from the weak, the average, the emotional. This is where you channel everything into discipline. Your body, your mind, your purpose, everything must level up. Hit the gym, not to impress them, not to win them back, but to create a version of yourself that even you admire. Build a physique that commands respect, not just from others, but from yourself every time you look in the mirror. Develop your mind. Read, learn, sharpen your thinking. Become someone who speaks with wisdom, moves with confidence, and carries an aura of certainty. Because knowledge is power, and a mind that grows will always stay ahead. Strengthen your finances, because the person who controls their money controls their freedom. And nothing is more attractive, more undeniable, than someone who doesn't just survive, but thrives. And most importantly, master your emotions, because nothing is stronger than someone who's unaffected, unshaken, untouchable. And here's the irony: when you start moving like this, when your focus shifts entirely to your own evolution, that's when they notice. That's when they start lurking, checking your social media, asking about you. Not because you chased them, not because you begged, but because they can feel the difference. The person they thought they could discard no longer exists. The version of you they knew is gone, and in their place, someone unrecognizable, someone powerful, someone beyond their reach. This is the transformation, from the one who waited for them to the one they wish they never lost. But by the time they realize it, you won't even care, because now you've built something greater. Now you are the prize. 5. Master the art of not caring. They expect you to care. They expect you to watch their every move, to react, to show signs that you're still emotionally invested, even in silence. But what they don't expect: true, unwavering indifference, not fake detachment, not pretending to be over them while secretly hoping they come back. Number. They expect a response, and when they get nothing, that shakes them to the core. Indifference is the ultimate power move. It sends a message, not just to them, but to yourself. It says that nothing outside of you controls your emotions, not rejection, not loss, not them. A person who is indifferent is a person who is free, because when you stop caring, you stop being controlled. And when you stop being controlled, you become the one in control. This is the essence of true power, the understanding that the only thing you ever truly own in this life is yourself. Most people crumble under pressure. They let their emotions dictate their actions, chasing after what was lost, trying to prove their worth to someone who already dismissed them. But you are different now. You walk into a room with a presence that says, "I am complete, with or without you." That energy is magnetic. That energy makes people question their decisions, rethink their choices, and regret their actions. And the key? Not reacting. If they post something to get your attention, you don't care. If they test you with a message, you don't respond. If you cross paths and they try to see if they still have an effect on you, you remain completely unshaken. And the moment they see it, the moment they realize they no longer hold any power over you, that's when it hits them. But here's the truth: it was never about them. This has always been about you, about mastering yourself so completely that nothing phases you, about building a mindset so strong that no person, no rejection, no loss can ever break you. Because in the end, the one who controls their emotions controls everything. 6. When they feel you slipping away. At first, they won't think much of it. They'll assume you're still the same, still lingering in the background, still waiting for the right moment to reach out. They might even expect you to break, to send a message, to react to one of their posts. But then, nothing. Days turn into weeks. Silence. No texts. No desperate attempts to reconnect. No sign of the person who once clung to every ounce of their attention. And that's when they start to feel it. People are intuitive. They can sense when someone's energy shifts. And right now, they're noticing something different about you. You're not waiting anymore. You're not checking in. You're not seeking their validation. And the worst part, it's not an act. It's real. They feel the absence of your attention like a void. And for the first time, it bothers them. At first, they try to ignore it. They tell themselves you must still be thinking about them, still holding on in silence. But then something deeper starts to gnaw at them. What if I was wrong? What if they really don't care anymore? What if they've moved on to something or someone better? This is the moment regret begins to creep in. Not because they lost you, but because they thought they could keep you as an option. They assumed you would always be there, waiting in the background. They believed they could return whenever they felt like it. But now, they aren't so sure. And here's where most people fail. They give in too soon. The second they throw out bait, a "How have you been?" text, a reaction to your story, a like on your post, most rush back. They jump at the chance to prove they're still available. But not you, because you know better now. You know that the moment you acknowledge their test, they win. The second you respond, they get confirmation that they still have space in your mind, that they still hold a piece of you. But when they reach out and get nothing in return, that's when the panic sets in. That's when they start questioning everything. Because now, you're the one they can't have. And nothing is more unsettling than losing something you thought you controlled. This is where your true power lies. Not in playing games, not in trying to make them jealous, but in becoming so focused on your own path that they no longer have access to your world. And when they finally realize that, they'll wish they never took you for granted. 7. When they come back, will you fall for it? It always happens. The moment you truly detach, the moment you shift your focus from them to yourself, the moment you start becoming the best version of who you were meant to be, they come back. Maybe it's a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" A random like on social media, a sudden comment on something you posted, or maybe they don't say anything at all. They just watch, lurking in the background, waiting to see if you'll break first. But make no mistake, this is a test. They don't miss you. Not yet. What they miss is the control, the security of knowing you were always an option. And now that option is gone, and they need to know, do they still have access to you? Can they still pull you back in? And here's where most people fail. The moment they receive even the smallest breadcrumb of attention, they jump on it. They assume it's a sign of regret, a sign that the other person wants them back. And just like that, they fall right back into the trap. Because the moment you respond, the moment you show you still care, the power shifts, the mystery disappears, the regret fades. They got what they wanted, confirmation that you were never really gone. And just like that, all the strength you built, it vanishes. Maybe they entertain you for a moment, give you just enough attention to keep you hoping. But in the end, they will do exactly what they did before. They will walk away. But you know better now. You recognize the test for what it is. And you do what most people don't have the discipline to do. You pass. You don't react. You don't acknowledge. You don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they still have an effect on you. Because the truth is, you're no longer playing this game. You've outgrown it. You've outgrown them. This was never about getting them back. This was never about proving anything to them. This is about proving something to yourself. that you are no longer the person who needs their validation, that the version of you they once knew no longer exists. And when they realize that, when they see that you truly do not care anymore, that's when they really feel the loss. 8. Now they feel what you felt. It's happening, the same uncertainty, the same doubt, the same emptiness that once kept you up at night. But here's the difference. When you went through it, you were still chasing, still hoping, still believing they were the prize. You thought that if you could just prove your worth, they'd see what they lost. But now you've changed. Now you understand something they never expected. You were never the one losing. For the first time, they are questioning themselves, wondering if they made the right choice, replaying old conversations in their mind, remembering the way you looked at them, the way you cared. And most importantly, they realize something they never saw before. You were rare. You were valuable. You were real. And now, you're gone. They won't admit it outright. They might even pretend they're fine. But inside, they feel the sting. Because when they took you for granted, they never thought you would truly move on. They assumed you would always be available, always waiting in the background, ready to pick up where things left off. But now they are staring at a version of you they don't recognize. A version that no longer revolves around them. A version that has completely outgrown them. And that's when the shift becomes real. Because the truth is, they never truly respected the person who chased them. They never valued the one who put them on a pedestal, but the one who walked away, the one who disappeared, the one who became something greater. That's the one who haunts their thoughts. That's the one they regret losing. But here's the final lesson. You don't go back. You don't entertain their attempts to rekindle the past, because the past is dead. Because the version of you who wanted them no longer exists. And now, they are the one who must live with that loss. 9. The final shift. Master yourself. Master everything. This was never about them. Never about proving anything. Never about making them regret or seeking revenge. It was always about you, your growth, your discipline, becoming someone who is no longer controlled by emotions, no longer defined by external validation, no longer swayed by the fleeting desires of another person. Because true power isn't in forcing someone to miss you, it's in becoming so complete, so self-sufficient, that their absence doesn't affect you at all. Most people live their lives reacting to rejection, reacting to heartbreak, reacting to the choices of others. But the person who has mastered themselves, they don't react. They observe, they understand, they move forward without hesitation. And now, that's who you've become. They thought they could break you, that they could leave you behind, that you would stay stuck in the past, waiting, hoping. But now they see the truth. You were never the weak one. You were never disposable. You were the prize all along. They just didn't see it until it was too late. But here's the thing, that's not your concern anymore. Because now, you understand the most important lesson of all. Your happiness, your peace, your power. None of it was ever dependent on them. And that realization, that frees you. It makes you untouchable. Because the one who has full control over their emotions controls everything. There is no greater success than mastering yourself so completely that nothing, not rejection, not loss, not even love, can break you. That is true strength. That is what it means to be unshakable. And now, as you stand on the threshold of something greater, you no longer seek closure because you are the closure. You no longer seek validation because you validate yourself. And when they finally realize what they lost, when they wish they could go back just for a moment, just for another chance, you'll be long gone, because the person they once knew no longer exists. Now, as you look back, you might notice that what once seemed like a loss is now your greatest victory. They may have taken your time, your energy, even your peace of mind, but in exchange, you've gained something priceless, a newfound freedom that no one can take away. You have become a person who's unbound, unchained, and unstoppable. At this point, they might begin to feel the echoes of what they once took for granted. They may feel the same uncertainty and regret that you once experienced. But here's the most liberating part. While they're stuck in their memories, you're already embracing the future. They'll come to realize that you were never the one to be lost. You were always the one destined to rise above, to flourish without being tethered to the past. This journey is not about retribution. It's not about proving to anyone that they made a mistake. It's about recognizing that your happiness, your peace, and your power were never dependent on someone else's approval. They were always yours to command. With each day, with every step you take on your own path, you prove that the true measure of success lies in your ability to overcome, to evolve, and to stand tall amidst any storm. Now, if this message resonates with you, if you feel that deep, undeniable truth stirring within, then remember, the person who needs nothing truly gains everything. Embrace your freedom. Celebrate the fact that you have unshackled yourself from the past and are now paving the way toward a future that's entirely yours. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below, "I am limitless." Now, go forward, walk your path with confidence, and never look back. Your freedom is your ultimate victory.